All right. Okay, let's start with mantra. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tammaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Today is Shri Aurobindo's darshan, as you know, the final darshan. And a very sad day, so I don't like these darshans. People say that they're still darshans, but they are sad darshans. Sad for us, for those who are on earth. Yeah. Right, so we stopped here at this verse number 417, chapter 17. And we looked into first 3 verses, which were about Shraddha. And we extensively spoke about Shraddha, what it means to have that faith in us and in everything else, to be oneself. Now we are moving forward. It's about the sacrifice. Yajante sattvika devan yaksha rakshansi rajasah pretan bhuta gananshchanye yajante tamasa janah. So the sattvic people sacrifice to the gods. The rajasic people, rajasah, sacrifice to yakshas and rakshas. Yakshas and rakshas. Yakshas are actually unknown spirits, spirits which are quite violent and also have certain powers, unknown powers. They are hiding behind disguise of some kind. And rakshasas, you know, they are usually scaring powers, or powers of which are devouring, as Shubin says, attacking, very rajasic. So rajasic people worship those rakshasas and yakshas. And sattvic worship the gods. So worship is the wrong word, sacrifice to the gods. We will come to this word again. Pretan bhuta gananshchanye yajante tamasah janah. And tamasic people sacrifice to the pretas and bhutas. You know, these bhutas who are accompanying Shiva, they are all very big, kind of strange goblins and trolls with the huge bodies and very heavy spirits. And pretas are those who died, actually, hosts, the ghosts, what we call. So these are ganas, the hosts of the pretas and bhutas. When he says sacrifice to them, means much more than we usually assume. Sacrifice doesn't mean really doing some pujas. It means that they share with them the similar energies. And so they are affiliating themselves with their energies, as it were. And because of that, they become part of the same. In the other place, a beautiful place in the, forgot where it is in the Gita, Shri Krishna says, to whom you sacrifice, there you go. If you sacrifice to Bhutas, you go to Bhutas. If you sacrifice to Pitris, you can sacrifice to Pitris. You go to Pitris, you become part of the Pitris enterprise. If you go sacrifice to the gods, you go to the gods. If you sacrifice to me, you come to me. Now, this sacrifice is hidden kind of meaning, not very clear, but this is that, sharing the energies, becoming affiliated with a particular manner and consciousness and behavior and power, which you embody, which you want to be. And that changes the being. We have in Russian such a proverb, tell me who is your friend and I will tell you who you are. So this is something of that kind. Tell me with whom you are in company with, whom you like to be with, and I will tell you who you are. Because you share the same energies.
Yeah, this understanding of sacrifice as sharing energies, is that related to similarity in the root words? Sharing entities in sociology is called homophily, but the word for union is huge, like the word that yoga comes from. Isn't it YUJ in English? Where yaj is sacrifice, but yuj, yaj, the two consonants or the semi-vowel that begins it, and the vowel that and the consonant that ends it are the same. It's just a little difference between and u in between. So they're very similar root sounds.
Yeah, you're right. If we look deeper into the etymology of the roots, we will see that yaj, ij, it's actually e. The u is also iu, yeah? So E is this movement of focusing, concentrating. U is duality.
Right. Okay.
From here you have this union. Whereas Yaj in pure Ij, it's just kind of focusing on. Mm-hmm. What you're focusing on, that you become, let us say in this simple language. Mm-hmm. Or where you are driving at, because Ij and Aj are interestingly related. Ij, Aj, and Yaj, because Ij is Yaj and Aj is there at the same time. Aj is driving forward. Where you are driving at, where you are aiming at, that you become.
There's a saying, you may know the origin, that to which you give your attention grows stronger in your life.
Right. Yeah. What you aim at. Yeah. Whatever your aim is, that your life becomes. If your aim is to become true being, then all your life is changing accordingly. Yes. All the energies are coming for that aim. There is a very beautiful dialectical law in logic, in the dialectical logic by Hegel, who says that the aim cannot be achieved by the means which are not from that aim. So you cannot achieve the aim of goodness by the means of wickedness, yeah? Or weakness. Yeah. You have to move by the same energy. So if you want to come to that aim, you have to adopt the same behavior on the way to reach to that goal.
That's an important refutal of the idea that the ends justify the means.
Right. No, it doesn't justify, because
that's
if
right. That's right. It's a refutal of that.
Right. Exactly that you cannot justify. That's why all those people who stole money, mafia and all that, they try. But what is interesting, if you look at Russia, especially all those thieves and KGB, all those criminals who are in power, what they do is quite interesting. They are total, outlaw in every way. All the money they got is wrongly gotten resources, stolen, people are killed and so on. But they hope that their children and their grandchildren will live good. So, okay, with us it's decided. We can't really move out from this spell of, but our children are in Europe, they are studying in Harvard, and we found for them the best position. But somehow, we have also another proverb, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So there is some connection still. So maybe grandchildren or grandchildren will start become normal. You remember that Australia was the place for exile of all the criminals, first from UK, and then slowly it turned to be a normal country. But over certain generations, it needs to take longer time. So there is a hope still, even for them. So much into on this yaj route to sacrifice. And then, ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambhahankara samyuktah kamaraga balanvitaha karshayantah sharirastham bhutagrama machetasah mam chaivantah sharirastham tan vidhyasura nishchayan. And the people who do tapas, tapyante ye tapojanah, ghoram tapas, tivram, ghoram, kind of powerful or terrible tapas who do a shastra vihitam, which is not prescribed by shastra, by regulations. Dambha, the vanity, ahankara, ego, samyuktah, following or kind of accompanied with kama raga balanvitaha, and by the force of kama and raga, by the desire and liking and disliking, attachment. Karshayantah sharirastham, they are tormenting the one who stays in the body. Bhutagramam achetasah, and without consciousness, they torment many people, many beings. Bhutagramam, the whole bulk of peoples, or bhutas, or all the bhutas as elements also can be in their body. Mam chaivantah sharirastham, and even me who stays within the body. Tan vidhi, know them. Asura nishchayan, as those who decided for the asuric nature. Sri Aurobindo translates it in this way. Let me read this. The man who perform violent austerities contrary to the Shastra, with arrogance and egoism, impelled by the force of their desires and passions, men of unripe minds, achetosach, tormenting the aggregated elements. He takes it as elements forming the body. Those especially who mutilate their bodies, or who tapasvins who hold the hand till it dries out, or the leg which becomes, black and completely cannot be used, or long nails which are absolutely useless in every way. So all these torments of the body and all the elements of the body forming the body, and troubling me also, seated in the body, know these to be asuric in their resolves. That makes totally sense, because this manifestation was not meant to be the show of my asuric will, that I can go against my own body. So, okay, you can, so on. And next, what is next? And next, I have a desire to be invincible over the gods or something. Another egoistic desire on the top. So it never ends, how to say, in the divine way. It's on the way some kind of nature is trying this particular form of austerity. When I read first time Gita, I thought it is amazing. He speaks about himself being tormented in the body. And it touched me so much, and I understood immediately the meaning of it. The divine in the body is not for this torment. It is for joyful manifestation of light and truth, and not to be tormented there because somebody, some egoistic will has a power over the body. Now it's my body, so I mutilate it. I drive it to death without feeding it, without taking care of it, and so on. So what's this? Where is the divine in all this? There is no divine. It's an egoistic preference. It may be useful to a certain extent to build a power of will, but no more than that. Once you have will, why don't you give it to the divine? It's like people do austerity with their speech. They stop talking. Yes, but stopping talking is easier than to speak in the balanced way. To speak only what is needed. It's much more difficult to take the divine form and to embody it in your life, rather than egoistically to stop talking. You know? And in the head full of talk and speech and discussion. We had in Orville Mauna, if you remember, Robert. Mauna means silent. She took once for 1 year or something the vow of not talking. But after that, you could not stop her talking. Though she was overflowing with speech after 1 year of suffering. I'm joking, but it was very funny. She's still there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, we remember.
You
her.
remember her well.
Yeah. We were friends once, long ago. I mean, not so long ago. And then, aharastu api sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yajñah tapah tathadanam tesham bhedamidam shrinu. So aharah is the food. Aharah tu api, and the food also, sarvasya, of everyone, trividhah, of everyone is of three kinds. Bhavati priyaha becomes dear. Food becomes dear of three kinds, to three different types. Again, the same types, devas, asuras, or rakshasas, and bhutas, or sattva, rajas, and tamas. Yajñah, also sacrifice, also of three kind. Tapas, also austerity of three kind. And dhanam, the generosity or giving, is also of three kind. Tesham behedam, the distinction of these, imam srinu, hear this distinction. Hear thou the distinction of these. There are footnotes, of course. Maybe we should read these footnotes. I already, yes, went far from those first footnotes. Okay, maybe I will take this, Asuric resolves. So about Asuric resolves, even if there is ostensibly a more inward or noble object. And the faith and will are of a higher kind, yet if any kind of arrogance or pride or any great strength of violent self-will or desire enters into their ascesis, or if it drives some violent, lawless, or terrible action contrary to the Shastra, opposed to the right rule of life, and works, and afflicting to oneself and to others, or if it is of the nature of self-torture and hurts the mental, vital, and physical elements, or violates the God within us, who is seated in the inner subtle body, then too it is an unwise, an asuric, a rajasic, or rajasotamasic tapasya. And we know too many examples of this kind, yes, especially in the also in Christianity, who are self-afflicting pain on themselves, and they try to get all the pains of Christ, and very proud of them, and they feel something. But that what they feel, unfortunately, they don't even realize it has nothing to do with the spiritual perception. It's a vital force which feeds on them and feeds them, and they are victims of that power. It would be so easy if they would know about this. If they would know about the Gita, they would never do that thing onto themselves. I never could understand how you can beat yourself to blood, and what it has to do with any kind of prayashittam. Or then number 2, food. Everything here, including physical things, partakes of this triple character. Our food, for example, the Gita tells us, is either sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic according to its character and effect on the body. This is good for our course. And Jayashri was already mentioning this. And Gita Shri will do course on our food. So here we have the reference. Interestingly, that the food is called ahara. It's not annam or bhojanam, but because there are many words for food, but ahara is something which we have to bring in. Aharati means to bring, but ahara with long R, both long R's, means something which causes the input into our body. That input into the body, what we bring into the body, is of 3 kinds. So we can put inside something which is sattvic, and it supports the sattvic state of consciousness. We can put something something which is rajasic, like very full of spice. We went to this restaurant in Greenville. It was so spicy. I said middle, but I regretted to say middle. They asked, so soft, middle, or strong? I said middle is good. And it was like, we were burning. So it was totally rajasic food. Or tamasic, cold, stale, already half spoiled. It's interesting that whatever we need, whatever elements we need, the state of consciousness in us, to that food we long. Did you notice? Sometimes we want hot food. Sometimes we want spicy food. Sometimes we want cold food. And it's weird because every time, and then if we observe our state of consciousness, we will see that it wants to balance itself or something, if we can also play how to balance our state of consciousness. If we are too rajasic, we can bring a little tamasic food and it will bring us down. Or if we are too, I don't know, tamasic, we can bring some rajas in and then it will kind of balance it into sattva. I was thinking about this before, long ago, whether one can really regulate or help to regulate state of consciousness with food consciously, to choose what to intake.
Well, in Ayurveda, they focus more on the Vata, Pitta, Kapha than the three gunas.
Yeah.
So if you're too Vata, then you take something that's Vata pacifying, something that'll support Kapha. But Kapha and tamas can't be equated. What might be tamasic for one person could be sattvic for another.
Right. Yeah, for Kapha person, Vata will be different than from Kapha person, Vata person, Vata. Yeah? So Vata is not totally sattvic. Yeah? It's a bit sattvic or rajasic. So these Vata, Kapha, and Pitta not totally fitting into the system, partially.
Right. Vata by itself is ungrounded. It's too airy, it blows away, too changeable. Where true sattvic requires driti, steadfastness, solidity. And the same can be said for Pitta. It's not totally rajasic, although it shares the same energy to get something done, to be active. But you can't be totally sattvic if you're very passive and have no pitta.
Pitta and Kapha more fitting to the rajas and tamas than this. Vata. Vata is not totally, and because of that, we can't really totally equate with the gunas. But they are equated in Ayurveda also. They think in those terms. But there is a shift, the drift. Interesting drift, which I totally can't understand yet. Most probably because it relates to the body, more to the body than anything else. It's more already kaphic, so to say. And because it is kaphic, the whole system works a bit differently. We can discuss this with Radhe. She knows this much better. She has course on Ayurveda with all these basics. Yes, Gita Shri, you want to say something?
No, I was only going to say that it also goes according to the seasons, with the summer season, with fall, with winter.
Very nice.
So with every season, like summer, it's hot. So you need cooling food at that time. Winter, it's cold. So you need warm kapha food. There's always a balance of two of these that go together, always.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Sometimes it's very difficult to make very hot weather cold. So what they do in the Middle Asia, I've been there to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, very hot. Yeah? And what they do, they put a lot of cloth around, like khalat, and they drink very hot tea in the sun. So what it does, it cools them down. It's like an effect of the opposite. So you work like a fridge. So you add hot to the hot, then hot weather feels like cool after that. Funny. So everyone finds his own way to get out of that extreme disbalance. But if we are totally conscious, it could be interesting to regulate our state, to work on the state of consciousness rather than on the desires of the vital for the food. We are usually working for the desires. For example, today I had many these cakes or something in the box. And I knew I don't want, in my body doesn't want, but my tongue with that nice juice was kind of appreciating it. And now I feel in the stomach heavy and unhappy. My body is unhappy, but my vital was satisfied. So you see, so here is the problem. Too much chocolate in the night.
So the dreams will be
Yes.
chocolatey.
Dreams, yeah. And I started to scrub my soil, and I felt it is releasing energy, really. There's some kind of blockage of the, you were suggesting, yes, Jayashree?
Yes.
To wash and to kind of scrub them.
Yes.
And I did, just as an experiment, because usually I take shower in the morning, and we don't need to wash feet because they're always clean in the house. Nobody, yeah, it's not the dirty feet. It's not outside that you have to wash from the dust. And still, there is some kind of release of energy which is blocking there or waiting to enter the body and disturb. So that's a good suggestion. Now I will be doing it, though it is not very comfortable. With cold water, by the way, suggest, because cold water helps then to accumulate heat. Okay. So, number 3, as also sacrifice. The food also, and also sacrifice, ascesis and giving. So all dynamic action, it's on the sacrifice, may be reduced in its essential parts to these 3 elements. For all dynamic action, all kinesis of the natural of the nature involves a voluntary or an involuntary tapasya or ascesis. It's interesting. Voluntary or involuntary. Nature will force us to do anyhow, whether you want it or not. An energism and concentration of our forces or capacities, or of some capacity which helps us to achieve, to acquire, or to become something, tapas. All action involves a giving of what we are or have, an expenditure, which is the price of that achievement, acquisition, or becoming, dana. All action involves, too, a sacrifice to elemental or to universal powers, or to the supreme master of our works. The question is whether we do these things inconsciously, inconsciently, passively, or at best with unintelligent, ignorant, half-conscient will, or with an unwisely or perversely conscient energism, or with a wisely conscient with will rooted in knowledge. In other words, whether our sacrifice, giving, and ascesis are tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic in nature. So basically here there are 3 definitions. The question is whether we do these things unconsciously, yes, passively, or at best with an unintelligent, ignorant, half-conscient will, or with an unwisely and perversely conscient energism, or with a wisely conscient will rooted in knowledge. So these are the 3 most probably. One is half-conscient, and that is rajasic. Other is totally unconscient or conscient and perversively conscient energetism is the Rajasic. First was Tamasic, and the last is the Sattvic. Yes? You see it this way? It's difficult language for me. The question is whether we do these things inconsciently, passively, that is Tamasic, or at best with unintelligent, ignorant, half-conscient will, this is all Tamasic, or, this is Rajasic, with unwisely or perversively conscient energism, this is Rajasic, yeah? Or with a wisely conscient will rooted in knowledge, this is Sattvic. Yeah, makes sense? You agree with this? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find this really incredible. I mean, you could write a whole theory of philosophy and of action based on this breakdown of any action into three components. You know, the who it's done for, the yagya, what is sacrifice, you know, what is given up, and what is the sacrifice in terms of the tapas, what you decided not to have in order to get this one thing that you're pursuing.
And interestingly, that he explained to us why these are mentioned, why the sacrifice, tapas, and dana in one group. Yeah? Because they are actually doing the same action in nature. These three are elements of the same action. So all dynamic action may be reduced in its essential parts to these three elements. For all dynamic action, all kinesis of nature involves a voluntary or involuntary tapasya. There must be some effort made, yes? Whether you want it or you don't want it, but you have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually, beautiful. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
He expands on these three in the next chapter, the final chapter at the beginning. He says, you know, there's a question of whether one should give up all action, or just give up all action except yagya tapadanam. And Krishna says it's impossible to give up all action, but you give up all action except these three, and you do these three according to Shastra, and you know that's what the karma yogi does. But of course, he's bringing in the karma here, unified with the bhakti and the jnana.
Right.
So the whole point is, though, I never realized it, but this seed idea of these three components of action, he actually expands on it at length in the next chapter.
Yeah, we will come to the next, and we will remember this one. But here, for me, also was long ago, I discovered this, and it was a surprise that yajna, tapas, and danam are mentioned as the divine parts of the divine action, which have to be followed anyhow. You cannot avoid them. Yajna is that with whom you will share. That is your aim, your intention, let us say, your sankalpa, as Jayashri was mentioning. Without sankalpa, nothing much can be done. Yes, you have to direct somewhere your energy. You want to be something. Then you will have to have energy of particular kind to do it. And then you will have to share this with your surrounding, with your body, with your mind, with your vital, with vital and mind of the others. You will have to make an impact on the outer nature with which you are, of which you are part. Yeah? So it is perfectly put together. So here he explains these three elements in a very nice way. So we have this tapasya, ascesis, energism, or and concentration of our forces or capacities, or of some capacity which helps us to achieve that aim of sacrifice, to acquire or to become something, that is the sacrifice. Tapas is needed, certain energy, certain quality of energy, the means by which means we achieve that goal. The tapas has to fit into the goal of the sacrifice. Yes? It has to be of the same kind. And then it involves a giving of what we are or have, and expenditure, which is the price of that achievement, acquisition, or becoming, dana. Interesting word dana, we spoke about this before, from root da, to separate, to cut, yes? to share part of oneself with somebody else. So separating part of oneself and giving it away. This is the sacrifice which is to be done, because otherwise the world will not change. Otherwise, if I'm changing only myself and keeping everything for myself and not sharing this with the world, not emanating, not giving it to the world, then I'm a thief, and not much can be done with me. I'm useless for the world. I'm useless in every way. It's quite interesting, these three elements. Now we can clearly see them for the action, why they are mentioned. The rest can be kind of ignored or kind of overlooked, but these three have to stay.
Can I say something quickly?
Yeah, sure.
In the Katha Upanishad, when Nachiketa's father is giving away the cows in charity, then they're all sick and diseased and old age cows. So he asks his father, why are you giving in charity cows which will be of no use to the recipient? So right there, the dana, the giving, is tamasic. And his father, doesn't like that question coming from his son, little Nachiketa, and he gets irritated. And when Nachiketa then asks him, to whom will you give me? Then he says, I'll give you to death. Because he's in a tamas, absolutely in the tamas condition of consciousness. So he gives his own son to the darkness. I just felt that the whole consciousness becomes, like you were saying, whatever it is, our goal, our consciousness matches that goal. And in this case, even though he was doing charity because it was a ritual that was required of him, but he was in a tamas consciousness and did not think about giving his best. He was giving the worst of his possession away. So he was in a tamasic condition. And so he gave his son away also to the darkness, to death. And of course, Nachiketa turns that around. So I just...
Yeah, good. Yeah, we have several interpretations of what is happening here at the beginning, why he gives him to death and why he says tries. There's a symbolic story, symbolism behind. Who are these cows who drank all the water and gave all the milk, nothing else to give? Many people also do this. They think that what they offer to the divine or to others, it's funny, that whatever they don't need, they bring as a gift. When we were children and we were going to the birthdays parties to others, we were looking for some gift at home, something we don't need or don't like, to give it away. So this is a total tamasic gift, has nothing to do with real offering, giving away or something, and also other givings which are wrong is this, when people already gave everything for their own self-satisfaction and have nothing to offer to the divine. Then, as Mother says this about many people coming to ashram, devotees, They lived selfish lives all their life, and now they come for the ticket to heaven. So with all their bank accounts and so on, when they were young and full of energy, they didn't do anything. They were doing their businesses and their kind of self-satisfaction. And now, when the time has come, closer to departure, they suddenly remember the divine and came with their own self-offering. But their cows are milked out and drank all the water. There is nothing to offer. There is no energy. There is no creativity. There is only this kind of. This is funny how Mother speaks about it. She's very, sharp in her judgment. She would not tolerate untruth. So she's very true. So sometimes she says that if half of the ashramites would go, nothing would change because they're stuck there.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
The idea of this higher consciousness being instilled into the cells of the physical body, of course, is what Mother has always taught and wants us to do. Once we instill this higher consciousness, because once we instill this higher consciousness into the cells of the body, we automatically move that way physically. Even if we go, if we take the time to instill, and I'm not going to say the cells are, completely conscious, but just getting there in the event of doing something that we shouldn't be doing, the body, the physical body will stop and not allow us to do that, and remembering the consciousness that we have consciously when we've meditated or used our mantras and really brought to heart what we want to put into the physical cells, then our bodies just automatically move to that consciousness without even thinking about it.
No, it makes sense what you say. By the way, we were thinking in the same way how to modify our yoga exercises. Instead of doing these physical exercises, which are also good, but to kind of charge that movement with quality, with sincerity.
Yes, absolutely.
With humility or with gratitude. Can you imagine charge the physical body with gratitude? Yes. What it could be. It can carry it through. It can ignite the feelings, thoughts. Even psychic would have a bridge to come. So body is a very good carrier and can support the whole process of yoga if you allow it. But we never allow it. We think it's some kind of, instrument and we have to do some work somewhere else. No, we have to come to the body, also deal with it. Thank you. This is a good suggestion.
Yes.
That is why we should always listen to our body, what it's trying to tell us. Sometimes, we ignore it when it's in pain or when it's hungry, we ignore it. But you have to listen to your body because it's your body that carries all the potential in it. And it's so important to honor that.
Yeah, if we can really do that, because we usually hear the desires and habits which are settled in the body. But if we could, because body is very honest, truly speaking, body cannot lie easily. Even they have lie detectors connected to the body impulses, because body will not be able to manage to lie. So it will show some kind of, So in a way, yes, if we should try at least to use our bodies for yoga, for higher purpose. Not everything should be put on it, but one big element to support it, to charge it with higher mother's presence, force, to allow that force to come to the body and to deal with it in its own way, without demand, without modulation from our side too much. Following its intuition, as you rightly say, hearing what it wants. But this requires a very tough discipline to arrive at that level.
Can I share something?
Yes.
This was just an enlightenment that I had probably for maybe 30 seconds or maybe a minute, it might have been, but quite a number of years ago, I was just seated and I had to get up. I was in a class and I had to get up from my seat and go over to the center of the class and show some kind of experiment. And for some unknown reason during that, it was a speech class, by the way. And for some unknown reason, I started, my body was just moving and I could hear all of the sounds that my body was making at that time. And it was just, if I moved this way, it would just, I could hear the sound, it was moving and this to the left, or if I moved to the right, I could hear the sounds that I was moving to the right. And then I decided, well, gee, if I can do that, then I can just control these sounds. But that has been a difficult problem because I haven't really been able to hear since then. It was just an instantaneous experience, but I just wanted to share that.
It's very unusual.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can't imagine that how it is, but yes, if it is happening, it must be something, such an impact that bodies also has consciousness and can communicate, and we can hear if we are quiet enough to listen to without imposing our own on it. Thank you for sharing. Here there is about 3 types of food. Now it's about sattvic. It would be good for Gita Shri's course. Ayuh sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasyah snigdhah sthira hridya aharah sattvika priyah. So the most desired for sattvic food, or the most dear for the sattvic person food, is of this kind. Ayuh sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana. Those who know Sanskrit or Hindi, it will be easy for them. Increasing vivardhana, what? Ayuh, life force. Sattva, the sattvic state. Bala, force, power. Resilience, arogya, health, sukha, happiness, priti, love, vivardhana, growing. It causes to grow these major qualities in us. Rasyah, it is tasty. Snigdhah, oily, not dry. Interesting. Must be oily. Sthira, steady, or we will read Sri Aurobindo's translation afterwards. Sthira is usually steady. Hridya, full-hearted, or how to put it, nourishing heart or emotions. There's some kind of emotion involved. So let us read Sri Aurobindo's. The sattvic temperament in the mental and physical body turns naturally to the things that increase the life, increase the inner and outer strength, nourish at once the mental, vital, and physical force, and increase the pleasure and satisfaction and happy condition of mind and life and body, all that is succulent to succulent, and soft and firm and satisfying. This is most probably, I don't know this word, let me check. Succulent. Tender, juicy, tasty.
Like a nice mango or a pear.
Oh, right. Soft and firm and succulent. So you can have all possible contradictory meanings in one thing. Yeah? So it has to be tender, juicy, tender, and firm and satisfying. So it's like mango, which is ripe, but not overripe, which is still firm, hard, but already juicy and sweet, something like this.
That sounds right.
Right. Is a good example. It nourishes our mental, vital, and physical force. All of them, not only one of them, not only physical, but also mind is happy and quiet, and vital is satisfied. Now you have a definition of sattvic food. Quite amazing. One can think of it, what it could be, what kind of food. They consider in yogic practice charu to be the most sattvic. It is rice boiled in milk with butter, with ghee in it, and a little sugar or honey. This is the most sattvic food. I do not know whether it is sattvic. It doesn't sound like sattvic, but sweet, oily milk and rice, white rice. No, it doesn't feel like sattvic. If you eat it, there will be no desire to eat anything after. There will be a full satisfaction in the mind, vital, and body. You don't want something else to add, some other component to balance it. It is self-balanced. Yes, Gita. You have some ideas of sattvic food?
I was just thinking of rice pudding.
Oh,
Kheer.
khichdi.
Well, khichdi, I was thinking, but more like a kheer, like a rice pudding.
Yeah.
Milk with rice, little ghee, little jaggery.
Jaggery ghee, and yes, good.
Thicken it. Maybe I'll make it for you.
Yes, we should start experimenting.
Yes.
That is that sattvic food. Mhm.
Can
But
I
the
share
sugar,
something
is
quickly?
it good?
Instead of chocolate.
No, can I quickly share something?
Mhm.
In the Buddhist tradition, on the first of the month, in Theravada Buddhism, on the first of the month, they make this rice with milk and they put a little bit of salt in it
Mhm.
along with the sugar. It's like salty and sweet. And they also flavor it with some nuts and raisins. And they make it like a rice pudding. And this is offered to the Buddhist monks. They go to the temple and they offer it as the almsgiving. The monks all stand in a line and they hold their little bowl in front. And this rice is put into all their bowls. It is offered to them. So I think that must be where it is coming from, maybe, because it's an old tradition. But it's like a rice pudding with some salt.
That sounds really lovely. It reminds me of the payas that the ashram serves on darshan days.
Payas, yes.
Yes, that's it. Payash.
That is the name given in Bengali to this rice pudding. It's called payash.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, is payesh and this pudding that's given to the monks, is it the same rich? Because the payesh in Bengali is quite rich in sugar and ghee. So would
that
that
we
be a
have-
sattvic food? Like, because we can't give that to babies like less than
No.
1 year old. So
No.
I'm just wondering if that would be a sattvic food, or would it be less salt, less sugar?
Milk and rice anyway is sattvic.
Yeah,
Considered
but the
sattvic.
sugar and ghee.
Rest
like-
we all add.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
milk is sweet by its nature. Milk is already sweet by nature. You don't have to add sugar to it.
I don't remember that sugar was mentioned in charu, this
Yeah.
yogic food. It was
Honey.
milk, ghee, and rice but must be a little salt and a little sweetness, because then it balances itself out.
Yeah.
So,
Also, after it's cooked, you can also add honey to it.
mhm,
Honey is sattvic, and just mix it with that, and it depends on you, how conscious you want to make that food
mhm.
sattvic.
I noticed when I ate this, I had no desire of other things to eat. It's amazing. It ends there at that level. You don't want to have tea afterwards or something, or to eat some bread and butter and cheese or salad. Nothing competes with this fullness. Amazing. We have to.
The ashram paesh is very, I don't know if it's the morning one that's given at breakfast. It isn't too sugary, but it's very nourishing and filling, the ashram dining room that's given. Like, it
Yeah.
feels like paesh, but it isn't exactly, because it's not so sweet, but it's still sweet enough, like good. I don't know.
Yes, it's lightly sweet and given at midday usually.
Yeah.
They add raisins also to it. Sometimes they add raisins, maybe not in ashram. I don't remember, but that it is. Raisins give you some sweetness, some glucose, fructose. Yeah, instead of sugar, we can add some raisins to it, and some, nuts. Raisins and nuts, and you have full food. Don't need anything. Great. And then
In Calcutta, when they offer this as a dessert, they offer it also as dessert. They drop rasagolla on top, make it extras. That becomes a dessert.
Bengal is sweet like anything, and they add sugar into any food. Yeah, so it is so sweet and so tasty. I don't know why, but I never ate anywhere in India better food than in Calcutta. And then how they cooked it, it was sweet. It was sweeter than Gujarati. Gujarati is also quite sweet.
Yes, they do.
But that was even more, but it had taste. I don't know what they do with that sugar there in the food.
We put a little bit of sugar in most of our cooking unless we become concerned with the health. Like anytime a guest is coming or any delicious thing, we kind of put a little bit of sugar. Like even
Are you
in
diabetic? No, then boom, sugar.
like sugar and ghee, it's kind of quite common.
Yes.
I don't know how healthy it is, but
Right. I had a friend in ashram who was inviting me a few times. One of this in Madan Lal's group, and he was inviting us so much chocolate and all these cakes and sweets on the top, all these Indian sweets, the best. And he says, eat. I say, oh, thank you. So happy eating. And why you don't eat? I'm diabetic. And he enjoyed looking at me how I was gobbling that food. That was enough for him joy. He found his way around inviting guests to eat the sweets. Funny. Anyhow, we can continue next time on this tamasic and rajasic food. Now is tamasic coming, and then there will be rajasic, or not? No, then sacrifice coming. Here, tamasic and rajasic are put together. No, where is rajasic? Here. Yes, katu. It starts with bitter. Amla, sour, lavana, salty. Here you have everything. Atyushna, very hot. Tikshna, very sharp. Ruksha, very hard. You will have all the elements of that, what Indian food is, what Indians love, all those spices, which are very rajasic. Yeah. Maybe next time we will start with number 9, because we are over time 6 minutes.
Vladimir, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Where did you find this copy of the Gita, the message of the Gita
Somebody
by
sent
Anil
me.
Bharan?
Somebody sent me, but there are so many mistakes. We always have to check with the mistakes, misprints, because they took it and made PDF out of it. But I will
Okay.
send you. It is available I sent to everyone.
Okay, yeah, if you could send it to my email or to me,
Sure.
it would be great. Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere.
I sent again to everyone. That
The
in
one
case,
in the Internet Archive, is it the one that has a lot of mistakes? Because there is one available in the archives.
which is without mistakes?
That's why I'm asking, is that the one that has a lot of mistakes?
I don't know. I will check again. Maybe there is one without. I would love to have it.
Yeah, because I saw one long back in the archive and I wasn't sure if it is the same as the one you are doing it.
I don't know. I don't even remember where it is from. Oh, we hear your baby's voice. So lovely. Already growing. Yes, darling.
Yeah, thank you. She's 1 year old now.
All right. And what is her name?
She's Vedanshi.
Vedanshi. Oh, lovely. Vedanshi. Namaste.
Thank you.
All right. We will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Namaste.
Namaste.